104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. We are now joined by the smartest guest we've had all day, Mr. Sports Science himself, John Brenkus with us. Now, multi-talented. We're going to get into the multi-talented part. We're a little shocked by something we just found out about you. But first things first, is Brady too old to throw a good ball?
No. No.
I tried. I couldn't think of anything scientific. I had to go with Brady being old.
Tom Brady still can throw the hardest, if not one of the hardest, if not the hardest pass in the NFL.
Who's got better velocity, Ryan or Brady?
Brady.
Really?
Yeah. Ryan's got it. Ryan is awesome and elite, but Brady can throw it harder. Brady can throw. We've clocked him at over 60 miles an hour, 61 miles an hour, which is faster than any quarterback has thrown at the last 5 NFL combines.
Do you ever get geeked out when they're coming in there? Like, has there ever been an athlete that's walked in and you're like, while they're running or whatever, you're like, okay, I can't believe Tom Brady's throwing a football right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're now in season 11. We've done almost 1,200 segments for ESPN alone. So we've had to deal obviously with hundreds of the world's greatest athletes. In the early days, when we started out, when we were even on Fox Sports, having guys like Ray Lewis when he was still playing. I mean, we're obviously in season 11 now. When Ray Lewis is playing, when the guy just shows up by himself and he's like, "Hey, fellas, yeah, you want to play some football today?" I'm like, this is Ray Lewis. Right?
This may sound like blasphemy, but I think of your show sort of like the Bill Nye of sports science. Have you gotten the Bill Nye comparisons before?
We have. We actually had Bill Nye on our awards show 2 years ago, and I asked him very kindly if I was allowed to call myself the sports science guy, because I didn't want to infringe on his. So he's like, yes, you can. So he announced it on the show that it's okay to call me the sports science guy.
Was he your original influence for the show? How did you think of the idea of sports science?
My passion is sport and science. I grew up in the D.C. area. I was born in 71. I had a World Series championship with Cal Ripken's rookie year in Baltimore. We had an NBA championship with the Bullets. We had 3 Super Bowls with the Redskins. I mean, I was like tuned into sports as a kid. So it's just been my lifelong passion. But the other passion is science. I was always a kid reading science books, not fiction. I was like, I want to read, I want to learn. So that's really been my major in life, is sport and science. And my partner and I had a production company, and we put those two things together because we were specializing in science programming and sports programming. We did a show called Fight Science that was on National Geographic, brought in the world's greatest martial artists to see which style produced the most amount of force. That did so well that Fox, that owns Geographic, ran Fight Science on Fox Sports up against the original Manning versus Manning Sunday Night Football game, and it rated like their 3rd highest rated show without any promotion. They're like, oh my God, people love this stuff. What else do you have? So that's how sports science
I feel like there's a third passion for you too, and you bring up fight sports. I remember so vividly and being afraid for you because you get involved in a lot of these things.
Yes.
You were choked out by Gina Carano.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I'd probably do that just so she would hug me a little bit.
I would tell you.
Right?
I called it an exaggerated hug.
Yeah. Because you don't have to give her the details. She gave you a big hug.
She gave me a huge hug, and I passed. And when my story
in her
is,
arms.
dude, I totally passed out in Gina's arms. It was amazing.
John Brenkus, the host of Sports Science with us. Sorry, go ahead.
It was funny. We wanted to test what happens to your brain, so we hooked up, a bunch of brain sensors to see what the oxygen level was. And what was amazing is, so I got choked out by Fedor, got BJ Penn, and Gina Carano. What's interesting is that the brain, as a defense mechanism, when it's losing oxygen, it knows it needs to shut down the body. So it's shutting down memory, it's shutting down vision, it's shutting down hearing, but memory is the first thing to go. So when you get choked out, you actually don't feel yourself pass out. You actually are perfectly awake. Then the very next moment, and I'm on camera, and I'm like, are we going to do it? Like, what's going on? Like, it stitches it together.
Wow.
So when you hear these people like, oh, I blacked out, I have no idea what happened. The truth is if you genuinely black out, you don't remember it. You can't remember a thing. You don't even know you blacked out.
John Brenkus with us, 104.5 The Team, host of Sports Science. So you've seen the incredible and you've defined it. Is there one athlete that raises above all the others in your memory when you tested them and you're like, this is just not possible?
What's interesting is a lot of people say who impresses you the most or who blew you away the most. I mean, obviously, we had Dwight Howard in the lab setting a record for the highest touch in the NBA. He touched 12'6", right? And that's a record. So, I mean, seeing something like that is amazing, but the guy he's a giant human being. So
Right.
I always like to say, look, these giant human beings, I'm not saying that if I was 6'10", that I'd be able to do it, but if you're 6'10", you're in
You got a head start.
0.0001% of the human population. But if you look at something like Drew Brees, where I'm like looking at him eyeball to eyeball, and he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterbacks of all time, I'm like, how do you play amongst giants, right? You're not
Right.
that big. That impresses me more than giant human beings be able to do something.
All right, so all day today, because you've been coming on, anything one of us says has turned into like you talking about us on Sports Science. So like Tom Goslowski gets out of bed at a slower rate than any human being known to man.
Look at the amount of beer Jeff Levack consumed in one city.
That's been going on all week. Like he turned into you about 3 times on this trip when I've been sitting there drinking beer.
You guys should text me when you actually are coming up with that, and I'll tell you what the analogy is. I'll actually do the science of it.
We had the 30 for 30 guy do some stuff for us. We may seriously follow up on that and just have it sent into the show and have you do that for us.
I'll do it for you. You tell me about how much liquid you actually consumed, and I can tell you whether or not it's impressive or not.
In one day at MetLife, there were 22 beers put down.
That, you know what? If you go to the average college student, I bet they would be not that impressed.
All right, fine. But I felt good. I was 38 at the time.
Yeah, besides Levack's,
Well, that's different. See, now you need to qualify.
All right, yeah, good.
besides Levack's drinking, is there any other athlete or some event that you want to do and say, man, this is still on my bucket list for sports science. I got to get this guy with us.
Obviously doing something with Michael Jordan. We've done a ton of Michael Jordan pieces. I've been very, very grateful that I've become fairly friendly with Michael, and he loves sports science, and I'm constantly telling him, here's what we're breaking down. I mean, if we had Michael Jordan in his prime, that would just be unbelievable. But there are plenty of athletes that are still out there that haven't actually passed through the lab that we've just done segments on. So, we had Klay Thompson last year, but we didn't have Steph Curry in the lab. So you're like, well, I'd like to have Steph Curry in the lab. So he's certainly on the list of hopefully we get him to, pass through the lab. But we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the greatest athletes. And we feel very grateful that people want to come on the show. It's just a matter of scheduling. Everybody's super busy, but, we've been very, very grateful that we've been able to lock up as many players as we have.
Maybe you have to bribe them with the new the Brink of Midnight CD.
There you go.
That would be. I think that's what it is. A little gift when you join the show.
That's right.
You have a band.
We have a band, man. So we the name of our band is Brink of Midnight, and it really just stands for the moment in time when everything changes in your life. So 10 years into my marriage with my wife, I've always played guitar, and I write songs just for the fun of it. She's walking by, she's singing. I'm like, oh my God, you have a beautiful voice. This is 10 years into marriage. And she's like, well, I was trained in a classic opera company, so yeah, I can sing. And I'm like, oh my God. So we started putting together some songs, and we put out the first song we put out, charted.
Wow.
It was a Christmas song. We got
Really?
3 million hits on YouTube, and then we've just been putting out songs under Brink of Midnight. And it's on Spotify, Apple Music. Anyway, it's available on any major music platform. We've been putting out music videos, and we've had a great response. So if you ever want to check it out, it's called Brink, B-R-I-N-K, of Midnight.
I'm definitely going to check it out. So I'm a Christmas junkie, so you just gave me an excuse to listen to Christmas music, in February. So
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
You'll love it.
Sports Science, we love the show. We are definitely going to bother you next time I'm throwing an immense amount of beers back.
Absolutely. Let me know, and I'll tell you whether or not it's impressive.